an awesome episode for y'all today. I am sitting down with Katelyn, and Katelyn is the CEO of a successful jerky and meat company. She's an entrepreneur, a mother of the cutest and most adorable twin boys, and all around a go-getter who's changing what it looks like to have a successful business and be a mother all at the same time. So, Katelyn, if you would not mind telling us a little bit about yourself to get things rolling today.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Allie. So let's see. My journey with this, with our family business started actually when I was about 6 years old. So I've grown up in this business. My parents bought Cattaneo Brothers back in the 80s. So I grew up as a little girl coming in, stickering jerky bags, filling the bags with jerky, stringing the jerky, all that kind of stuff, working alongside my dad on Saturdays. So it's something that I was fortunate to get to grow up doing. Kind of dabbled in it throughout growing up, high school and college. I kind of always knew I wanted to be a part of it in some way, shape or form. I always wanted to have a gift shop with my mom. That was kind of like my side of it. Marketing and sales was always my favorite part about it. I, after high school, went to here in SLO, went to Cal Poly, stayed a little bit involved in the business there. And then after my senior project being on the business, I moved to the Central Valley and did sales for the company there for a year. And then that's when my mom's cancer reoccurred. So that's when I moved back and worked alongside my dad. That was about 2005, 2006. Worked alongside my dad, taking care of my mom and running the business with him. And I learned a lot at that point. Never knowing that I would be taking it over, but more so just learning to help him and get through this. And obviously the goal is to always get my mom cured from her cancer. But
Right.
then in late 2007, my dad was actually diagnosed with leukemia and battled it for a couple months. And then we lost my dad. And then I lost my mom shortly after, so all within the same year. So that's when I really just had to jump in and take over the company and keep things going, because I just couldn't imagine the business, anything else happening to it. And in that moment too, is kind of just, there was no other option but to figure out how to do it. So that's when I kind of got thrown in to take over back in 2008, and have been learning and growing and changing, through all these past 13 years now. So
Yeah.
how I've ended up to where I am today.
Yeah, and you really do have an incredible story just as far as your family and how everything has happened. But how did the business start? Was that something that your family bought into, something that they kind of came up with? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So Cattaneo Brothers actually started in 1947. So
Okay.
we're about to celebrate 75 years.
Wow.
It started, yeah, it's an incredibly old family business. So it started with two brothers, Bill and Pino Cattaneo, and they started mixing spices. They worked in a meat market in downtown San Luis Obispo by the Mission. And so on their off hours, they would mix spices and play around with jerky. And that's where they started realizing that what they had, and they would sell it to their friends. And then, so that was 1947 when that started, the whole thought and process of it. And then they moved over into where we're at, in the facility we're still at today, in 1970. And then my dad went to Cal Poly, and my mom did too. My dad senior project was a food service business. So he had a food service business here in SLO, and he actually sold meat to the Cattaneos. So that's how he got to know them. And when they were looking for a buyer, my dad jumped at the opportunity to purchase the company in the 80s because he loved the meat business. He grew up in the meat business his whole life. My grandpa had a meat company down in Southern California. And my dad really loved the manufacturing and side of business. And so he saw a great opportunity with Cattaneo Brothers and bought it at that time.
Yeah, and that's such a cool, founder story too. The fact that it's been around for 75 years, and it's a testament to your family and you for being able to really kind of stay true to what it originally was, right? And the same location for the most part as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been in the same building for almost 50, well, yeah, 50 years now. So it's pretty cool to see how it's evolved, but yet we've stayed so true to who we are. And I believe that's why we really are still where we are today.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely people, change is always happening, but people love to have that one thing that they can depend on. And for you guys, I'm assuming it's going to be your products and that the customer service and the story and all you guys have to offer to your customers.
Yeah, there's a great deal of tradition that comes with what we do, and then also the traditions that people who have purchased it for so long have created with their families. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So, okay, great. Traditions, right? But then I'm sure that the business and the business model has changed over the years as well a little bit. Um, can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the trials and tribulations that have come with trying to stay maybe modern with a business that is so aged in tradition?
Sure. Yeah. I think from my time being here with my dad, I saw growth in uh, things such as like change where sales were going. So the internet started to get big, in the late 90s, 2000. I remember our website
Hmm.
launched. So I saw kind of the evolution change to that with jerky sales and not just being a gas station jerky anymore. But really, I mean, my time of being here with my parents, we didn't see too much change. My parents my mom added gift packs, and she kind of made it more like added her feminine touch to it, right?
Hmm.
Crafty um, gift side to it. But for me, with taking over, I mean, it was a really hard shift because coming in at such a young age too, I felt like I had to really respect my parents, what they had created, and not just change things. And so for me, it took a long time to really learn the company, figure out what our pillars are, what are the most important things that we do and why. And I knew it, but I really needed to understand it. So I dove back in to figure those things out and didn't change much. I think probably the biggest change for me when I took over was that we did a lot more events, and it was something my dad did a little bit of, but we really got out there and started getting in front of people and sharing the product and the story and having them taste it. And that really helped us grow and change and adapt and evolve over time. Not actually like changing who we are, just changing maybe like the strategic plan of growing and getting out there. And then I would say that maybe becoming, as we deal with meat snacks becoming more trendy and popular, we've really tried to stay away from the fads. I think something that I realized as I got involved in CrossFit back in the day and running marathons and doing with that kind of stuff. So a lot of athletic uh, the side of it, I started to really learn the health benefits of the jerky
Hmm.
and realizing that we already had such an incredible product that you didn't have to change. It was always there. We just had to highlight it. So the fact that we have no sugar in our jerky, all these other companies were trying to follow these trends of, no sugar, no preservatives, all these things, but we already had that. So for me, it was really just taking what was already there in our foundation and the traditions of how we made and did things and sharing that with people. So I've been fortunate to not have to really change anything because what we do is already great. I was just sharing that. And I think probably the biggest change that we've seen over, or at least especially under my leadership, is changing or adding new lines. So we've added a
Okay.
grass-fed line, no nitrates, that kind of stuff. Just adding more options for people who want to have that kind of meat selection. So
Right. And I'm glad you kind of touched on that because I was going to ask if, as consumer preferences change, obviously meat is still a great source of protein no matter what the fat is. But just to get, what kind of products have come from that, and the changes to your products kind of based off those changes in consumer preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen, I think I saw that again when I was in athletics. So we deal a lot with collegiate and professional athletes. Actually, we deal with a lot of their nutritionists. So we see
Okay.
a lot of demand for no nitrates and really high quality grass-fed, 100% grass-fed
Okay.
jerky. So that was something that was important to me to offer too, just because it offers different nutritional value and for people. And I also liked the opportunity that it gave me to work directly with the ranchers. So the biggest thing for me as we shift and change the company, I don't want to say change, but adapt to things and just better ourselves, is to make a difference in that way too. And for me to know the rancher and to know where the beef's coming from, to know how it's handled, how they're raised, fed, all that kind of stuff is truly important to me, because at the end of the day, it's not about just selling beef jerky or, making money from it. It's about having a bigger change in the quality of what we're putting into the product and eliminating waste and, having the animals raised humanely and all that stuff really matters. So for me, that shift to what meat we use, when we look at that, is coming from all those reasons now.
Right. And so that was going to be my next question, is as far as the cattle that you guys are using, or the livestock, you clearly are not the ones who are raising it. You're working with ranchers and producers in order to get that. Is that mostly ranchers and producers in California?
So it's about 50-50 right now.
Okay.
My goal is to get everything over directly to the ranchers, so that I can have that relationship and understanding of the beef that we bring in. But about half of it is still just commercially raised
Okay.
beef. It's still high quality beef that we source. We still have high specs and all that, but I can't tell you where it's coming from directly.
Right.
Yeah, but the other 50%, our other two lines, we know we work with two family ranches and get all of our beef from there. And the really cool part about it too is both are Cal Poly grads that I went to school with, and it's their family or their, generations of their families. So we have that connection too, which is pretty cool to have. So
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to y'all's family traditions and kind of all of that. If not only your family, but other families who are involved in your business.
right. Yep.
For you guys have a ton of products. So what are some of those products, and can you walk us through some of that?
Sure. We have 4 different lines of jerky. So we have the classic cut, which is just the traditional thick cut. It's a half an inch, it's a quarter inch thick. It's very chewy, tender. It's the stuff that you would see in our Costco's. That's like our bag. People know they can get at Costco's around here. And then we have a extra thin, which has become tremendously popular because it's cut into smaller pieces. It's really easy to eat. I think it's what people are familiar with too out on the market. So that thinner cut's a lot easier to eat. And then it kind of it works for a larger market if people, for kids and older adults. But, and then we have a premium hand cut line, which is one of my favorites. It's our cowboy cut. It was the line that my dad created. And it's all hand cut from the top round and marinated longer. It's like eating steak without silverware. It's very, very meaty, very tender, very delicious. So we have that one, and that one is sourced all from 5 Dot Ranch meat up in Northern California, Napa, and the meat is just amazing. And then the line that I launched back in 2013 is our grass-fed range line, and that is my favorite one if I had to pick one. And we have some fun flavors. I mean, we don't get too far off with all the crazy fancy flavors, but we're able to make them a little bit different. So we have a sea salt and black pepper and a chili cayenne and a chipotle of the range, and it's sliced thin like our extra thin cut, so it's easy to eat. and it's got a little bit of a different taste. We don't use the apple cider vinegar on it. We use just red wine vinegar, which is a little bit of a different thing. That's another great thing about our jerky is the apple cider vinegar um, part of it. But so those are our 4 lines of jerky. We have turkey jerky as well. We have smoked beef sticks, which are very, very good. They're 100% beef, high quality ingredients in those. And then we have our sausage line as well. So we have 6 different European style sausages that are very traditional to the Cataneos who started it. And then we have a whole line of fruits, nuts, and candies that we source from California. And then our gift packs, which, pulls everything in together for gifts.
And then you additionally have, is it a mercantile? Is that what, kind of in addition to all of this? So what is that? How does that kind of complement the beef business?
Yeah. So the mercantile actually back in 2013, well, long before, like I had mentioned, I always dreamed of having a shop with my mom. I grew up in actually where our shop is today in her same store. So when I was young, she had a store down there. And so in 2013, there was an opportunity to go back into that store. And I had kind of fought through many Christmases where we were running out of space and people were waiting out the doors for gift packs. And so I was like, all right, here's my opportunity to open the store I always wanted. So I knew it would look different than what I had dreamed of. But so we have a store downtown SLO, and we carry all different types of local products, seasonings, olive oils, candies, anything that we can find that would work in gift baskets. So we do a lot of gift baskets down there. And then we also have a lot of other, home decor and jewelry and accessories and kids stuff and all sorts of fun things that you can find and gift. And that's kind of my whole purpose with the Merc, is just an opportunity for people to come in and be creative, find things that they feel good about giving to others at good price points. And it gives us a great opportunity for another location for Cattaneo Brothers to be at too. So it's nice to have that space as well.
Right, and I'm sure kind of broadens your reach as far as your customer base as well. Maybe somebody who would not necessarily be interested in a beef stick comes in for something else and happen to grab one on the way out, right?
Yep, that's right. We do introduce a lot of people to our jerky down there, so it's cool to have that opportunity.
And I want to go back to the grass-fed for just a minute. Grass-fed can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For you guys, what does that mean from a product standpoint, and how that product is being raised, I guess, really?
Sure. I mean, anymore with marketing, you can say sugar-free, you can say grass-fed, you can put all these labels on a package, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that it's good.
Right.
So for me, it's far more than just the grass-fed. I think that's one key component to me. But like I said, it goes back to knowing these guys that are in the ranching business, and we know these families. We know how they're treating the animals, which is very important to me. Probably over like the last 6 years, it's something that has become even more and more like important to my heart. Is just I've always loved animals, grew up in 4-H, but to like really realize that, okay, we're taking this cow like and using it for food. Like it needs to be treated well. It needs to be, loved. It needs to be fed well. And then for me on my end, like we have to use the whole, like I want to use the whole cow.
Right.
That's another big part of it. You don't want the waste. And so when you work with people that have those same values, it just feels better about what you're doing at the end of the day. So the grass fed is important, and they do feed 100% grass fed, because there is a lot of people that feed, that finish with not 100%. And our premium hand cut line from the meat from Napa is that way. They actually have their own finish, which is what makes it so much more flavorful. It doesn't have that flavor of the 100% grass fed, but it makes it different, which is kind of nice because now you have these different options. But And then just the value, I think, of the grass fed, where you're getting more omegas and just different types of nutrients that we might not be getting from commercially fed cattle. And I think that there's something to be said about balance of what we're eating. I think I think this just comes from my understanding with my parents being sick with cancer, is just realizing that too much of one thing is not good for us. So even at the end of the day, I would never recommend people eating jerky, a lot of steak, a lot of pork, any of it. We
Right.
have to balance it, and we've got to moderate how much we're eating, I believe. So, but the key for me is that if you're going to eat it, eat high quality stuff and eat stuff that has minimal ingredients in it. So that's why, the grass fed is so important, because I know that it's high quality. And then when we make our jerky, we're adding very minimal ingredients. So what you're putting in your body is, to fuel yourself, is good and sustainable for what you're trying to achieve. So
Yeah, and you just mentioned when you're making the jerky. So you guys actually are doing the full process of the jerky making.
yeah.
Okay, and what does that look like? Do you have, other facilities where that happens, or is it in the back room at the store, or what does that look like?
Yeah, everything's done here, where we have been doing it since the 70s. So we bring in the meat denuded, so that we don't have to deal with any trim, really.
Right.
But then we have a whole artisan style process that we still follow. And that's something that is just true to who we are. And we have seen, people come in and these new companies come in, and a lot of jerky companies honestly aren't even making it. They're just marketing companies.
Right.
But for us, that's who we are, and that's why we're different. And it'll always be that way. But yeah, we bring in the meat, we press it, we slice it, we tumble it, we marinate it, we hand string it on stainless steel rods. Then that gets spread out, it goes in the oven. So our jerky process can take up to 5 days sometimes, from start to finish. And our beef sticks are even longer. They're usually about a week. So to make our products, it takes a lot of time and a lot of labor, which can be very challenging. It's probably one of our biggest challenges, especially in California.
Yeah.
But um, but you just can't veer from that without changing the product, and we know that. And so we have to just figure out how we can keep doing that. And manufacturing is very important to us, and so is the education side of what we're doing. That's something that was really important to my dad, and something that's really important to kind of was instilled in me. So
And again, I mean, it goes back to, obviously you guys are doing something right. If you've been able to not only maintain but really grow in the 75 years of existence. So kudos to you and the business and all the things you are doing.
thank you.
So last kind of question here is really for you. What are maybe some tips or advice you would give to women entrepreneurs who are just wanting to be in business? Obviously, you're specifically connected to the agricultural industry just due to your products. But what is something that you would say to someone who's either already in the business or wanting to get involved?
Sure. I think, I mean, there's a lot of things. I feel like I've learned so much in 13 years, which is crazy. But I think the thing that I realized more than anything is just finding your own authentic self through it. And what really are you passionate about at the end of the day? And sure, it's got to yield you money to keep going, right?
Right.
Otherwise you won't have a business. But if you're not doing something you're not passionate about, or if you're worried that people are gonna, the competition is gonna beat you there, or do this, um, then I think you're missing out on, what we're here for. And that is to kind of to find ourselves and do what we're passionate about, and to not be worried about, uh, not to be worried about what other people think or what other people are doing. I think that's probably my biggest thing too. And it was just instilled in me from my dad. He always said, never to pay attention to what the competition is doing. Just keep your head down and keep going. And I think that's kind of just how I've always ran it, is just to keep going and stay focused on the values I know and the things that mean, what I know matter, and not get caught up in the other stuff or the fads or all that, and stay focused in that way. And I think if you can do that and, and really follow what you're passionate about, then you can be successful. And to me, success isn't about what you have, it's how you feel at the end of the day about what you're doing. Because life is so short, and that's the thing, is that you could be gone tomorrow, but are you happy about what you're doing? Are you following your passions about that? So I think that's a key for women, and especially in agriculture. And then I think too, just, keep pieces of self-worth. And I think that coming in at such a young age, maybe not feeling like I deserve to be in the position of CEO, having to earn it. And it took me a long time to realize that, as a woman in this business too, that you can't, like, we are worthy of it. We
Mhm.
can do it. We can be a mom. We can juggle it all. It can be amazing, but we have to accept that, and kind of relish in the good, so I think those are two big things for me, is just kind of understanding your self-worth at a younger age, and being true to your authentic self, are two keys that make it all worth it, and would be two things I would want other women to be aware of as they're getting into things.
I think that's awesome advice, especially in this society that we live in today. I think everyone's so worried about comparing themselves to others, and, oh, they're doing this, I need to be doing that. But again, a testament to you and the tradition of what you guys stand for, is very evident, and I think that mainly due to you being true to yourself, and what you just mentioned, as far as sticking to what you believe in, and all of that. So I appreciate that. I think that's excellent advice, and hopefully someone who's listening or watching can also connect with that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've made it to the point where we've reached the rapid fire questions, if you are ready.
Okay.
Um, and they're nothing crazy. Every time I say that, I feel like I need to rename this part of the show, but I can't think of anything like clever enough yet. So still in the works on that. But the first question is, what is your least favorite dessert?
Least favorite dessert. I would say anything like Italian, any like tiramisu, or it's not even Italian. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Those are like my least favorite.
Least favorite. I would have to agree. I'm not a tiramisu fan. The last show that you binged and loved.
Let's see. I've been following Netflix. Oh gosh, I'm kind of little. No, it's Jeannie in Georgia. It's a single mom, so I love her drive and her fire, and so I definitely binged that and loved it. So
And then the last question is something that is simple in your life, but you love.
simple. That's a good question. I think I something simple. I think I could. I feel like my home. I feel like my home is simple, but I love it because it's mine and my boys' home, and we've created it together. And we've worked really hard to get to where we are with that. But it's simple, and it makes us happy, and it makes life easy, which everything for me, if it's easy, then you can actually really enjoy it, and so there's that simplicity that comes along with it too. It's nothing crazy, but I don't know. Yeah, that's probably something I can.
Yeah, I love that. I think sometimes things don't need to be overcomplicated, right? If it can be simple, then
Right.
so be it.
Yes.
Well, Katelyn, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I've really enjoyed your listening to the business story, and obviously your story as well. Where can people connect with you if they are wanting to connect with you, or know more about the business, or purchase from the business?
Sure. So we have all of our social media platforms. Well, not all, but we kind of stay traditional to just Facebook and Instagram. Anything beyond that, we haven't gotten into that yet. So you can find us on there, and follow us along as we go to different shows and stuff like that. And then our website is just Cattaneo Bros, bros.com. And you can purchase everything online there. And then there's always our 2 locations in San Luis Obispo where you can come see us. And I'm usually at both locations every day checking in. So, yeah, so we love having people come by.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. And I hope that everything continues to grow and you guys continue to just stay in that tradition and be successful.
Yeah. Thanks, Allie. Appreciate it.